What is up, guys? This is PVM Vertigo, and welcome back to Kerbal Colonization. It's been a while, I know I was working on other things, but we are back in the Kerbal Colonization world, and we are ready to hopefully go to Duna today. That's our goal. Now, this curious-looking spacecraft right here, this is the Explorer 3. Looks a lot different than its predecessors. The Explorer 1 was actually just a 7-engine with no asparagus staging. Explorer 2 had 6 asparagus boosters on the side, and well, now this one only has 2 boosters, mostly because I didn't think it was going to be that much of a stable rocket if I put 6 on each side, and it wouldn't turn as easily. I like how 2 boosters makes it turn easier, but nevertheless, we're going up into orbit, pretty steep orbit, and we have a new lander on the top there. Yeah, we took the Explorer 2's lander, which has a carbonite thing on the top, and we've basically strapped more carbonite onto it. Simple, right? And that should increase delta V to the point where it's around 3,000 meters per second. So yeah, targeting Duna now, and we're going to try to work on a maneuver here. You can see the triangle, the Illuminati network right there. And we're not going to actually use that today. We will eventually start using it for our Duna comms, but for now we're going to be going out there without any comms. Due to the fact that, you know, there's no point. It's a Pioneer mission. And we have Kerbals. We don't need to control the spacecraft. Don't need to. It'd be nice to transmit stuff, but I mean, I don't even think we have that long range of satellites or antenna yet. Here we are. We're burning, and it just occurred to me that there's no sound. Yeah, that's an error with my recording software. That'll be fixed for next episode. It got a little bit messed up because I was muting and unmuting for the KSP Baba Yetu little special thing I did. Yeah, the sound thing messed up for that, and I never fixed it, and I had it recorded and stuff, so whatever. For the next episode, it'll be fixed, but for now, just enjoy the nice, beautiful shots of Kerbal Space Program without the beautiful sound. Okay, so we are in the heat of this maneuver. We're about to finish it here. Gotta start using the lander. Oh. Going out here towards Duna and Nike. This is also the first time we've been out of Kerbin's sphere of influence, and we should be leaving in a little bit. Alright, yeah. Here we are in solar orbit, or Kerbal orbit. Now, I made a mistake here, and I forgot to actually do some science out in solar orbit. I probably could have done that. I should have strapped or used the antenna, but I mean, we might have been out of range of it anyway because we're pretty far away from Kerbin now. So, yeah, that was a small little error by me. I forgot that we haven't actually done any science out in Kerbal orbit yet. I really wish I brought my science module with me because that's worth a lot of science. It's like 200 at least. Maybe only 100. I don't know. Maybe they reduced it. But anyways, besides the fact that I completely forgot to do science in Kerbal orbit, we'll do that next episode. Here's us aligning ourselves with Duna. You see we have a Duna view activated, so you can actually see the orbit, the estimated orbit, and we can kind of move ourselves. The way the orbit works is actually translational to like the maneuver node. So if you move it that way, it goes that way. You move it that way, it goes that way. Pretty simple stuff. We're just trying to get as close as possible. So yeah, we're coming into Duna right now. Gonna hit that science. We need some of that. And all of it's gonna have to be ferried on back. We can't transmit it, remember. So we're gonna have enough delta V to get home, which I'm sure we will have. We have 3,000 meters per second delta V. There's no reason we will ever waste that. And there's some signs. So yeah, I actually have a lot of batteries strapped onto the thing, because on the first launch that I didn't record, I was testing stuff out. I flew it out into solar orbit, and I still have my solar panels pointed towards the sun, but like a bug with TAC life support, it actually dropped electric charge to a little bit, even though I was generating through solar panels. So, my crew died even though I had power. So I'm just having the electric charge batteries there as a failsafe. But right now we traveled all the way over to Ike, because we had an interceptor, and I thought, well, screw it. Why don't we just get some science before we go to Duna? Of course, me thinking that I have like infinite amounts of delta V, which I really don't. I was being I was overestimating my limits here of my spacecraft. It does have 3,000 meters per second of delta V, but I mean, it's not infinite. You can't do all things with it. And so we did this burn. It took like a minute or two, and halfway through the burn, we actually had a problem. If you look, delta V is not churning. ETA is going way up. Turns out I ran out of fuel, but I really didn't run out of fuel. What happened was we don't have fuel lines. I designed it badly, and our ballast tanks of carbonite aren't feeding into the middle tanks that have the engines attached to them. So I have to manually alt click. If you hold the alt button and right click on the tank, you can transfer fuel. So that's how I'm gonna have to do it. I mean, unbalancement isn't a problem because I do have thrust vectoring, the thrust vectoring mod, I think. So balancing it isn't a problem, but it's just a pain to transfer all that fuel everywhere. So as we're coming down to Ike, it happens again. We run out of fuel. To manually transfer, probably the worst time, because, I mean, not the worst time. If we ran out right before the landing, that'd be the worst time, but we have around 12,000 meters to fall still, but we still gotta transfer it, and we need to transfer it right. The tank's a little bit uneven, because there and before, I actually transferred it, and the engine just started up, and it was wobbling a little bit, but there it goes, transferring. And right about now, before landing, I'm starting to think about the fact that we might not have enough delta V to come home because we've wasted so much slowing down to get down to Ike. We should have actually just air braked in Duna's atmosphere, and then came to Ike if we wanted it. I got a little bit cocky with my spacecraft, and, well, I used up 800 meters per second on a burn. That slowed us down. Probably using upwards of at least 500 to 600, maybe even 800 meters per second delta V to actually land this thing too, so I'm wasting a whole ton. This is not looking good for the Explorer 3. This might be its first mission and first failed mission. But coming home, now that might be drawn off the board, but we might still be able to get there. At least we're landing on Ike, right? That's an achievement. And we are coming down a little bit higher than I thought. I didn't actually see my shadow yet, but we're actually pretty close. Come down. And that's a very fiery plume. Carbonite engines look beast. Air, it's coming down. And too fast, and perfect. We've touched down on Ike. So after doing some science and planting the flag, we decide that we are going to fly back up to the cockpit and see if either we're going to meet our demise in space or if we're going to get home with barely fueled engines. So we are going to see that now, and we're going to plan our course here. Okay, we have two options: shoot for Kerbal and probably run out of fuel, or go to Duna and get some science and strand ourselves there and get a rescue mission later this episode. So we go for the rescue mission. And, well, we're going off on an angle here. We're going to try to angle ourselves properly. There we go. But we launch up, and eventually we get into this sort of funky little orbit here with a high inclination. And I'm trying to mess around with it over here and try to get a nice Oberth effect, gravity assist type of thing going on to get back to Kerbal. But inclination's too high. We're actually not on Kerbal's inclination if we leave there. And we don't even have enough fuel to do this. So I don't even know why I'm messing with it. And, well, it looks like getting home is off the board right now. There's me trying to mess around with it. And, yeah, it's not going to happen. Our life support won't even be able to hold. We're going to have to launch a really big savior vessel if we're going to save this mission. We're going to need a lot of life support, too. So Bill Kerman's only hope of survival is basically to run into the atmosphere of Duna, float through it, and just be prepared to sit on Duna for at least 100 days, probably 150 days, and know that he might run out of life support and probably die. This is a really sticky situation. And he can't even burn himself into a better position or like a higher mountain or anything. He has to use at least most of his fuel for landing. So here we go here. Gonna be coming down with the parachute. And, well, all in all, we end up on the surface. So let's go for the first Duna landing, but let's not go because we stranded him there. But at least we got the science, or we're going to get the science in a second here. And, well, he does science. Let's prepare our next mission to rescue him. Or not, maybe not him, but at least his science. Because that's what matters. So here we are, the one rocket that will probably save Bill Kerman's science, but probably not Bill Kerman. And also we have sound. Fix that, because I did this in a separate session. So, this is a large 7-engine rocket. It's basically like a hyped up Explorer 1, or Explorer 2, I mean. And it's called the Lifeboat. The reason it's called the Lifeboat is because it has a crap ton of Delta V, around 4,000 in the lander, so it should be able to get everything done fine. Especially since we have to land precise, and we have to land at least 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers within the vicinity of the landed spacecraft, the Explorer 3. That's where usually it will only take, it'll take a lot less Delta V to get places, but when you have to land somewhere precise, sometimes it takes a little bit of a different amount. And also, we're going to need a lot more due to the fact that we're going to be taking a non-conventional burn to get there. Let's see what we can do here. Try to set something up. Okay, so this is going to be very, very eccentric. That's not going to work. Let me delete that. But we ended up actually getting a good maneuver, and you'll see what it looks like after we're done burning. So yeah, all 7 engines of the second stage are going there, and it's got quite a lot, the amount of Delta V left. It looks like there's only a little bit since it's almost empty, but no. The more empty a fuel stage gets, the more Delta V it puts out because of less mass and more thrust. So at the very end of a stage, it's the highest thrust-to-weight ratio and the highest amount of Delta V coming out of it. So yeah, we have this highly eccentric orbit here, getting ourselves to the fast lane to Duna. We would have had to wait a long time to align ourselves, probably a year or so. And, well, this burn will get us there the fastest. Even though we're swinging outside past Duna, that'll probably slow us down a few, maybe like 1 year. But it's still a lot faster than actually waiting for the correct launch and then going to Duna. Remember, we need to get there to see if we can even save Bill Kerman. It's probably not going to happen, but we're going to try. Here we are lining up a correction burn. I'm trying to get the thing... Oh, it's not working. I'm trying to get the periapsis over Duna. You can see it's there. There it is. I'm in the wrong focus view. My spacecraft is across the solar system, but long-range sniping, trying to, well, change the periapsis. You can see those are skipper engines right there. Very, very good for stuff like second stage use. And then the actual top stage has a lot of fuel on it and a poodle engine, which is the orbital stage in the 2.5 meter group. And the reason it has such a high amount of Delta V is because it actually has a less than 1 thrust-to-weight ratio on Kerbal, but Duna is smaller, so it shouldn't matter. Coming up on our correction burn here, we need to try to get it as accurate as possible so we don't have to waste any Delta V. We've already wasted at least 1,000 on this weird angled trip. There it goes. Oh, wait. And now we are on a one-way trip to Duna right now. It'll be a 2-way trip, but For now, we're just launching ourselves at Duna. So here we are. Will the lifeboat be able to even encounter Explorer 3? Is Bill Kerman even alive? When we get there, will we be able to actually get the signs, or will the lander have not functioned properly? Well, we don't know yet. You're going to have to stay tuned for the next episode of Kerbal Colonization, where we will come down on Duna and see what exactly happened with the stranded Kerbal in his spacecraft. So stay tuned for that. My name is PVM Vertigo. Peace out.